Shalom, following the show. Welcome again to The Rock. I have multiple videos I'm doing today. I'll be posting one later on after this one. But this one was spawned by a question of, brother, how can I leave the city? This is a very quick answer. Hopefully. Hopefully. How can I leave the city? And here's one suggestion. But it requires a lot of humility, and it requires for us to really think about our situations. See, a lot of us think that because we are in an apartment that we give, 60, 70% of our income to, that we are free, that we are living and doing our own thing, that we're not servants. And you are a servant. If you are paying rent to your landlord, which means the lord of the land that you are on, if you are paying your rent to that person is your lord and you are a servant. That's why you're paying him the money. You can also call yourself a renter. You can glorify and call yourself a renter, but you're still paying to your landlord. What would be wrong with communicating with a brother and saying, hey, brother, because I know a lot of brothers that have opened up their properties. I did it at one point in time and said, hey, I'm willing to help out some brothers. I'm willing to cover some sisters, but there's something required to it. You're still going to have to keep that, at a Walmart job. You just, instead of paying your landlord 75%, you'll pay me 25. And you'll be able to stack your money and then go and live your life. Buy yourself your property or whatever it is you're doing, but you'll be able to do it faster. But instead what people chose to do is they chose to rely upon the system. We say we love Yah's ways, but we keep doing things the system's way. We keep running back to the system, back to Egypt. But one of the ways I was thinking is, I know a lot of brothers that have offered that. You have to give them an opportunity to brothers. Hey, you come onto my land, you bring yourself a travel trailer, whatever it may be, and you'll pay me yada, yada, yada. I'm not talking about these Hebrew all-in communities where you give the leader everything. I'm not talking about that shit. I'm talking about you and another brother, agreement between you and a brother, not between you and the church. You and the pastor. I'm not talking about that. And that would be the way for you to get your foot out there, to get started out there. But for some reason, we do not want to do things that way. We do not want to do things the way that biblically we see. And a lot of it has to do with because there's these groups out there that have ruined it for people. People literally hate the idea of this because these groups have ruined it. But right now we are facing a situation where a lot of the people in this faith, brothers and sisters, are facing evictions. They're facing being kicked out. They're facing living in their car. A lot of sisters are being faced with living in their cars or living with deadbeat dudes. So I want to be able to have my own independence, but you're a sister. You're still not independent. If you are living, you're still dependent on, instead of being dependent on a husband or a man, a covering, you're dependent on the system. So for your protection, you're dependent on the police. You're dependent on Walmart. You're dependent on everybody and everything else. But what Yah showed us in his book, the system that was supposed to be instituted, we ran away from that. We ran as fast as we could away from that. Because today men think, well, I'm not a servant if I have my own apartment. You're still a servant to your landlord. He still tells you what to do in his place. If he says you ain't smoking, guess what you ain't doing? Smoking. And if you are smoking, he gonna boot you out. He'll evict you. He can raise the rent on you whenever he feels like it. So that's one way you could come out. That's one way. But see, that's going to require an absolute monumental level of humility and obedience to the ways that Yah instituted instead of the ways that we want to do. So we think that because we had our own. I mean, I used to think that way because I had my until I opened up my eyes and started reading the book and realized I'm still a servant. If I'm paying my landlord 75% of my income, 60% of my income, 50% of my income, 40% of my income, why am I paying it to the system to this landlord and his family when I could have been giving this to a brother? Well, I don't want to have to do any rules. Don't you have rules in your apartment complex? Don't you? I don't know. It seems that for a large majority of people, they truly don't want to make the moves that it's going to take. And as society falls apart and more of those in this faith are being evicted, it's looking worse and worse. Now they're running to their cars or sleeping in cars and sleeping in tents on all in tent cities because you couldn't humble yourself. Damn, with a couple $100, $1,000, $2,000, you could have got yourself a travel trailer and been on a brother's property, helping build his homestead while still saving money for yourself. But instead, no. Because even in the Bible, there was a period of time that unless the person bore his ear with an awl to your door, your doorpost, there was 7 years. 7-year period, he's released. And you're blessing him when he's released. We've talked about this in this live stream over a year ago. Sisters, you could be covered. You wouldn't have to be bouncing around from house to house. I know sisters that are bouncing around from dude's house to dude's house to dude's house to dude's house to dude's house. Laying up and staying in the homes with utter strangers. Men that they don't even know. Renting rooms from dudes they don't even know. Women they don't even know. Rather than be joined into a man's house and not have to worry about the eviction. Because most of the men that I talk to, they own their land. They've paid it off. It's not going to be ripped from underneath them. They don't have to worry about coming home and having that notice in the front door, you've been evicted, or getting that phone call, you got 30 days to, or the 30-day notice or the 3-day notice, whatever they call it. They ain't got to worry about that. They can go and buy some lumber and build a 12 by 32 home on their property. They can invite you into his house to be part of his house. But now we rather struggle by ourselves. While we call ourselves loving the set apart ways of Yah, we keep doing things the way the world does it. And again, I'm not talking about these Hebrew communities. This is not community talk. This is between you and a brother. I don't understand this. But this is one of the ways that a person could come out. Now, are most people going to use it? No. And talking with these brothers, most people don't want to use these ways because they want a scholarship. They want to come to your place and have it be a free ride. And since it's not going to be a free ride, even though it's going to be better for them, and the money that they are giving is actually they actually know where it's going to. They know it's going to a brother. But rather than do that, they'd rather go and feed the system, give it to somebody that they know is not in the truth. I don't understand. We have a love affair with Egypt. We have a love affair with this world. To the point where we think that the world's good for us. We think that we have freedom because the world gives us the perception that we have it. When in reality, instead of being around others like us, we are serving the system. Maybe somebody can help make sense of it to me, because I don't get it. I don't get why we do this. I don't get why we can read it in the Bible, we see it, and yet we're going to go and do something completely different that appeases ourselves. Please help me understand. I would like to hear from brothers and sisters. Help me understand. Why is it the sisters I ain't trying to serve no man. I ain't trying to. Okay, but you go to work and you serve your boss. You serve your landlord. You have no problem serving all these other men in society, just as long as it's not a person that y'all put above you. Please help me. Please help me make sense of it all, because I don't get it. My brothers that are in the positions and they have land and they're like, man, I try to help people out and then this shit don't work out. They don't get it. what is with our love affair with Egypt and wanting to stay in so bad that we won't take the opportunities to come out, even the way of, hey, I'd rather just pay my brother than to pay a landlord. I'd rather give the money to my brother than to give it to somebody who I know keeps the law and has laws that he has to abide by, than to give it to people who have and make their own laws and worship their own deities. I don't know. Anyways, I'm gonna get back to planting this garden. Just something I was thinking about after talking with some of my brothers about this topic. I don't know. Anyways, bless y'all. Shalom.